Oh, we're live already. I didn't realize it started. All right, so we're here with another Masters Universe Origins unboxing, and this is the Turtles of Grayskull Stealth Ninja Leonardo. I believe this is the second Leonardo they put out. It was the one that I thought was the coolest looking, so I went ahead and picked him up. The first one looked almost kind of like you can see like an illustration here. That's actually what he looked like. Almost like a combination of He-Man's outfit with the regular look of Leonardo. Not bad. I don't really like the swords that he came with. From what I understand, like they're kind of difficult for him to hold when it's split in half. Uh, so I wasn't really too into that. But this one comes with more traditional katanas, which is what Leonardo really ought to come with anyway. So so yeah, piece of artwork on the back with Bebop and Rocksteady. That is Bebop and Rocksteady, not Two Bop Steady, facing off against Leonardo and Stealth Ninja He-Man. So these are supposed to work together as a duo, I think, since they're both stealth ninjas and they both have hoodies. So it says kicking shell from the shadows. And on the back here it says Leonardo knows the way of the ninja like the back of his shell. So when He-Man needed a plan to sneak into Snake Mountain, he knew the best plan of attack: remain unseen, fight from the shadows, and attack the enemy where they'd least expect it. And it says place shroud over his head. And then we got the cross-sell artwork here with Stealth Ninja He-Man, Hordak, Leonardo, and April O'Neil. Which this is the last one of these that I need to open, and he sure is ready to be open because you can see that the glue's already come loose here on the back. So let's go ahead and get him opened up. And it's this mini comic again, He-Man in a Half Shell. So I've got 4 of those in English, and I've got like 4 international, the first mini comic that I guess I'm never going to get to read. So there are the katanas, and they did a really nice job with these. You can see that they're molded in kind of a dark bronze plastic, and they actually painted in the blades in kind of this metallic gunmetal color. Very cool looking. Let's set those aside for now. And then we can move on to Leonardo himself. And of course, Leonardo leads. Donatello does machines. We talked about him yesterday. Michelangelo is a party dude. We talked about him a couple of days ago. And the next episode will be Raphael, who, of course, is cool but rude. And my personal favorite Ninja Turtle. So we'll get on opening him tomorrow. Let's see. We got more rubber tabs. There was one around each wrist, right where his bracers are. Very annoying. And then one around each of his shins. Get those cut off. And hopefully that should be all of them. He just came right out after that. All right. So like the other turtles, he is mixing in some He-Man parts. He's much more muscular than the boys usually are, unless it's a Michael Bay movie. Let's set that aside. And I'll put that back together. I got a bunch of packaging I got to take out the recycling later. While I do that, I'm getting off to a much later start than usual today because I overslept a little bit, but I'm awake now, so I can get this stuff done now. All right. So where did I put Leonardo? Here we go. Okay. So him being a stealth ninja and all, he's got a dark hood, kind of reminds us of the Last Ronin a little bit. In fact, there you go. Instant Last Ronin custom. How about that? All right. And here's Leonardo head sculpt, unencumbered by the hood. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of glue, kind of, see that little gloppy white piece there, like a little piece of glue that's stuck there. That's annoying. Where did I put that X-Acto knife? We're going to get that off right now. Where did I put that thing? Oh, where did my X-Acto not go? Oh, where did I put it? Yeah, it must be like you can see that I hadn't really paid too much attention to it, but the mask is actually like a separate plastic piece. I guess it's like that on the other boys too. Yep. And kind of hard to tell on Donatello, but I think it's that way on him too. Uh but yeah, like they actually made a separate rather than painting it, made a separate plastic piece and glued it on, which looks a little better, I think, than just painting it, since it actually is that color. But it did have the unfortunate side effect of it had slipped underneath my tripod. There we go, I got it. It did have the unfortunate side effect of this time a little bit of glue leaked out, so I'm just gonna try to kind of scrape that off a little bit. And I don't really even really care if I nick the plastic some because it would at least still be green underneath, right? So mm, I hope you're being very entertained by my scraping away at an action figure with an X-Acto knife, but it's just something that's bugging me, so I need to take care of it. You know how sometimes you just get kind of like laser focused on something? I do anyway. Get laser focused on something that probably shouldn't be your priority. Anyway, like most Ninja shirt, oh no, like most Origins figures, he comes apart at the middle, and we can take off this skirt piece and set that aside, and then he's got the furry Masters Universe trunks underneath. This is the same web gear that Casey Jones comes with, only now it's in a bronze color rather than the kind of orangish metallic orange color that Casey had. But there we go. That's about as default as this Leonardo is going to get. I guess you could take off the forearm armor if you wanted to, and the forearm armor kind of rode up pretty high in the packaging. It's supposed to be a little lower down on the forearm, but I kind of like the look of it up there, so I'm going to leave it. But yeah, I was going to talk about he's got a little bit of glue on his nose too. Oh, I didn't notice that before, but that's even worse. So I'm going to try to get that off real quick. Eh, yeah, they got a little sloppy with the glue on him, but I think I got it mostly off now. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I really like the head sculpt. He doesn't have a sneer like Donatello has. Donatello, he had that kind of like the classic sort of Ninja Turtle gritted teeth look, and that looks good. And Michelangelo, of course, had the big goofy grin, which fits Mikey very well. But Leonardo, they gave him a much more neutral expression, and you can't even see any teeth showing. He just looks kind of calm and serene, but determined. And I think that's a good look for Leonardo. And of course, like with the other turtles, the shell is removable. And like I said, he's got the same web gear as Casey Jones, so you can swap stuff around. And it's the same shell that Donatello comes with, and the same shell that Michelangelo comes with, except for Mikey's is actually like a darker brown. You can see, and Donatello's is about the same color. So he can, if you want him to, hold it like a shield. There we go, and that's what that looks like. And if you want to hear my explanation, my head canon as to why the turtles are set up this way with the shields and the kind of vestigial shields and the shells in the back, you can watch that Donatello review. I'm not going to go over it again, but but yeah, in the Donatello unboxing, I discussed my theories as to why this is in this toy line. Anyway, let's go ahead and pose him with his katanas. And these are the same katanas that we've seen many times in Masters Universe Origins. Came with Jitsu and Ninjor and Space Sumo. All these guys have come with these same katanas, which I like because it's some consistency. And Leonardo has some katanas that are pretty cool and special since they've got those bronze hilts with the kind of gunmetal color blades, and I think that's really cool. So since we've got the hood and the skirt off of him, let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. So Leonardo can turn his head all the way around, tilts his head kind of quizzically from side to side, look up about that far, look down about that far. It does not seem like the ends of his I guess they are. Okay. So these are articulated, I think, kind of slightly at least. But I don't know if they're supposed to be. I think that they're glued in place. Nope, it came loose. Okay, it's just the plastic kind of sticking it. So you can pose these the ends of his bandana when you have the hood off, but it is meant to rest over his shoulders. And I like the look of just this head sculpt in general with the longer bandanas. And it does remind me a lot of the live action, the 1990, the Jim Henson Ninja Turtles, which is a good design. One of my favorite designs for the boys in general. If you painted in some pupils in there and gave it a little more detailing to the skin, like the freckles and everything, then it would be exactly a Jim Henson Ninja Turtle. But that's neither here nor there. Arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, of course, and move up about that far. Now, he does have this pauldron over here, the same one that was on Casey Jones, and it's in a metallic light blue color, which I think is really sharp. So that's going to kind of interfere with articulation over there a little bit, but still, it's the standard articulation underneath. Speaking of interfering with the articulation, the way that these forearm guards are set up, that's going to kind of interfere with the articulation there. So his arm can move in about that far. So almost all the way, but it does kind of slightly bump into it a little bit. And then, of course, that rotates all the way around. Wrist rotates all the way around and has a horizontal hinge that moves back and forth like so. He's got a waist articulation, so the waist rotates all the way around. Leonardo, that made it kind of a scary sound, didn't it? Leonardo can kick up about that far, not very far for a ninja, but that's about standard for Masters of the Universe, unfortunately. But they're very muscle bound figures, so that kind of interferes with you. Even though they're well articulated, they're so thick and muscular that interferes with that a little bit. Knee bends about that far and rotates all the way around. That does seem a little gummy on mine, but it loosened up. And he does have the boot cut, which rotates all the way around. And of course, this is the standard He-Man boot over the shin, which in this case isn't supposed to be a proper boot, but more just kind of wraps around the shin. And you can see that he's got typical Bear Ninja Turtle feet that point down about that far, point up about that far, and rotate all the way around. So this is a really cool Leonardo figure just like this, without all the stealth ninja stuff. I kind of like this design better than the first one, even though like the first one, I think they were kind of going for like I said, kind of more of a He-Man, specifically a He-Man type of look. But I think this works really well as more of a general Masters of the Universe kind of look as far as the design of the character. And like I said, this is a little more sort of default Leonardo if you want to have that look to him. So I like having different display options with figures, and this Leonardo figure is no exception. Now, if you want to store his weapons, he does have the same kind of generic loop that all the other boys have on their armor or shells. And you can see that I was able to fit both of his katanas in there fairly well. They're not going to fall out, so that's nice. But I would be careful about that, just because, like I said, these blades are painted, And this is a type of plastic that does not hold paint very well. It's very prone to chipping. No matter what kind of paint you use, it's going to chip. So be really careful when you do that, is what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and get them all geared up again. So I'm going to put both the katanas in each of his hands. And he's got that kind of like gunmetal color on his bracers also, and that's the base color of the forearm armor as well. I already pointed out how it has that kind of metallic light blue color to it, which I think is pretty sharp. So the skirt piece is kind of interesting. You can see it's got like a fabric texture to it and some holes in it, and then there's like some armor in the front and a set of keys. I don't know what that's for. They don't say on the packaging what those keys are for. So I guess you just got to use your imagination, and whatever you want them to be for, that's what they're for. So let's go ahead and put the skirt back on him, because we're gonna make him into his full stealth ninja mode again. And you can see that the skirt is about that same kind of really dark brown color as the hood. It's not the exact same color, I don't think. It's kind of hard to tell because the way the texture is, the light's hitting the texture. But I think it's a really close color if it's not the same exact color. And it's one of those things where even though there are two pieces that aren't really attached to each other at all, it's supposed to have the illusion that it's one piece. And you can kind of push the hood in such a way where like it kind of it tilts his head up a little bit, and then you've got his face more in the shadows. Like if I turn it towards me, like you can hardly even see any blue in it because there's hardly any blue touching. There's hardly any light touching the blue. You just kind of see these white eyes staring out at you, and that's pretty cool. But I turn it back towards where I got a light source over here, so so obviously it's going to be a little more lit up for you. Ace's Palace is here and says, "Good afternoon. It's a good figure." I agree, Ace. I think it's an excellent figure. I think they did a great job with this. In fact, of the three actual Ninja Turtles that I've opened so far, this is probably my favorite of the three. Michelangelo was really good, of course. I liked Michelangelo, and Donatello turned out really nicely, even though I still wish he had a removable helmet. But yeah, Leonardo I think is probably the best one of them, and I'm really happy about how he turned out. So definitely gets a recommend from me. Oh man, I should have got the Stealth Ninja He-Man and brought him in here so we could see them both together, since obviously they're supposed to be kind of like, since they're both stealth ninjas, they're supposed to be kind of linked together. So I wonder how well this hood fits on a character that's not a Ninja Turtle, since I happen to have my Thunder Punch He-Man custom here. Have a look at him, see what the hood looks like on that. And it's bumping into his backpack a little too much. Let's try Man at Arms, since I have Man at Arms over here still. We'll go ahead and pop that onto him. That's what it looks like on Man at Arms. So but yeah, like since the Ninja Turtles have like larger heads than your standard Masters of the Universe figure, like I guess you're just gonna have to do trial and error to see what hoods fit well on him. But Leonardo, it fits perfectly on him, very snugly. I really like the look of this figure overall, both in his stealth ninja form and when we take all that stuff off of him, he still looks very very default Leonardo, very cool. And this is a good figure. This gets a thumbs up from me. So next episode, I've done 3 Ninja Turtles. That means there's only one left. And you know which one that is. That's Raphael. Raphael's my favorite. But is Raphael going to be my favorite of these 4 figures? That's a good question. So we're going to tackle that on the next episode. And if you want to make sure you don't miss that, make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Leonardo, both the character in general and this figure specifically. And what's your favorite of the Turtles of Grayskull turtles that we've seen so far? And of the ones that I haven't opened on this show yet, what are some that you like on that? I'd like to hear your opinions. So let me know in the comments. I never get enough comments after the live stream, so it'd be nice to see some more. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.